I can tell you about a lot of me's that have been in my lifetime. So I'm from a middle-class family. My mom was young, still in high school when she had me. She and my grandmother were a huge part of my childhood. And I didn't lack for anything, but also I wasn't aware of some of the things that I could have been having. So, I kind of always grew up with this. It almost seemed like I watched the world through a window sometimes as a child, and wondered like why. I remember being on the playground in like second grade, and this is going to tell my age, but some of the kids were playing like the A team. They were pretending to be the A team, and they were just like happy and joyous and free, no doubt. And I was like, how do they do that? Like I just was, this kid that I took people's inventory from the day I could think of people's inventory. So just to skip on past some things, when I was about 14, I started dabbling with marijuana and cocaine simultaneously. I did not have an introduction phase to anything because I was scared of nothing. Like I'm just one of those people that like, let's do it. If you say it's fun, I believe it's going to be fun. Let's do it. I've got that a little bit more in check today than I did then. I don't know why I started doing drugs, honestly. But when I started, it was balls to the wall. I did drugs every day. I think it was a month-long streak I went on where I skipped school for a month long. Finally, the school, I stopped being able to intercept their phone calls. And my mom called me at a friend's house. We were smoking a blunt on the back porch, and she said, "Come home right now." And I was like, this is the end, y'all. It's the end. We've been caught. It's over for me. And so I get home and it was over for me. Not only had my mom talked to the school, but she had been under my bed and found some letters, girls write in high school. But I was the idiot that saved the code key. So all the codes in my letters were deciphered, and there was some crack described. There was cocaine being described. There was underage sex being talked about. And so that's just, that's who I was. I can't say if it was right or wrong, because I'm okay with who I am today. I'm okay with the things that shaped me as a person. Do I recommend those things to other 14-year-old girls? Definitely not. Absurdly. I guess in a way I do have some feelings about it. No, definitely want to steer them away from that. So I went through high school, notorious. I wasn't popular. I didn't know I was pretty. Come to find out, I probably might have been. But I didn't take compliments. Like you complimented me, and I felt like you wanted something from me. It felt like deceit or a manipulation of sorts. And that is based on what I was doing in my character during that time. If I was being nice to you, I might have wanted something from you, maybe your bag of dope, maybe your pack of cigarettes, maybe a ride to the dope house, something was in it for me if you were in my circle of friends. And that's just shooting you straight. I also had wild desires to hang around with people who were dangerous people. I liked to affiliate with, I'm going to say boys that toted guns, and wore baggy clothes in the 90s, and Tommy Hilfiger. I don't know why those things, I don't know why I became that at such a young age, but that's all I wanted for myself, was to be a part of that. And I wanted to know all the secrets. Like I wanted to be involved in things. Like I wanted to be completely in. And really the more in I tried to be, the further out I was getting. I remember at about 19, I had my first apartment, and a friend of mine had moved out of town, and she came into town, and I was dating a man who sold cocaine. And she came by my house on the way to Bonnaroo to buy an 8-ball. And she jacked me in the corner by my neck and said that I wasn't living life the way it was meant to be lived, sitting in that apartment doing drugs day in and day out. And I told her that was the pot calling the kettle black. And she proceeded to say that, the way that we partied were completely different ways to party. I think she still gets to do drugs recreationally, and that is great for her. It's not great for me. We're still friends. I made some amends, about 6 years ago. And I have some of those relationships intact. That meant something to me because that girl cared enough to tell me what was going on in my life, and to let me know that it wasn't okay and that it wasn't normal, and that I should want better things. Fast forward, I didn't care what she said at that time. And I continued to live how I was living. Continued to date my now ex-husband, who is deceased, for a long time. Me and him were like Bonnie and Clyde. We sold cocaine all over Eastern North Carolina. I'm not proud of that. I was then. I was proud of that then. You know, I knew something that everybody else didn't know. And so fast forward a couple years, and we're pregnant. Me and the dope man are pregnant. We have my first son. He is now 17 years old. He's an excellent example of what character and integrity should be. And he did not get that from me. He got that from my parents, because my parents loved me enough to take him from me. And that's just how that story goes. I'm trying not to get emotional. I usually don't tell a lot of in-depth things about my children, but I did drugs the whole time I was pregnant. I was so sick. I can remember just thinking, I can't do this, but I have to do this. And I can't do this, but I have to do this. It was never about hurting my son. It was always about making me better. And I can't explain that to anyone else. I can't, make people who knew me then look at me differently now. I don't get to tell them how to feel about me, but I know how I feel about me today. I know that I've talked about that with my son. I know that he has forgiven me. And that's all I can ask for. That's all that matters to me at this point in my life. I just turned 40. Whew. I did not like that. I didn't like that at all. But, life happens. It feels like all these things were like kind of just yesterday. And then some days it was like it was for a lifetime ago. Fast forward again, about 17 months after that, I had another child. And he was born in a treatment, like I was in a treatment center for pregnant women. And so he was born in Wilmington. And he likes to think that he was born at the beach, because really we live in like the middle of nowhere. He's like, I was born at the beach. And then my oldest son's like, well, I was born at Chapel Hill, I'm a Tar Heel. And anyway, it's just a funny thing if you know us. And so I'm just going to go ahead and say that I don't have custody of any of my children. My children did the family program with me at Pavillon. And I can honestly say the amount of healing that took place in those 3 to 5 days, I can't remember the exact time of the program, but like my mom had always sheltered them from the way I lived my life. And she got sick of it after the second time I got out of prison. And when I left home and absconded from my parole, she said, I'm telling them everything. They asked me where you were. I told them you're in jail. They asked me why. I told them you did drugs. And I said, okay, then I'm not going to do. I'm the type of person, like my kids are not going to go through town embarrassed to be my children. And I was like, you know what, Mom, if this is a game we're going to play, I'm just going to get better then. I was like, I'll show you. I finally started showing her in the right way, like what I could do and who I could be. And so it's funny though, because I begged to get in Pavillon. The door was cracked and I just kicked it open. And so I went there with all intentions of completing my parole and going back to living my life without answering to authorities. And something happened on that campus that I can't tell you happened, because I didn't mean to get better. I meant to tell you what I was going to do when I left. And that was do another one. And I was sitting in it was an alumni group. It was in person. And these young girls, it was about 4 young girls from Asheville. And they came in and they were telling what it was like, and how they're living now. And I felt hope, and I saw myself in a different light. Like in my mind, I kept picturing myself while I was in treatment prior to this, getting out, getting high, and just me being high for the rest of my life. And when they spoke, I started thinking of myself like maybe on a paddleboard, maybe in the woods looking for a waterfall. Like I hadn't done that. And I know it seems crazy, but I hadn't done that in like 20 years. I spent my time indoors. I spent my time in hotels, and I spent my time sitting in cars doing drugs. And it was a miserable existence. Yeah, 99.7% of that was a miserable fucking time. So when I got to Pavillon, you know, I had that little moment of hope. And so I started doing my work. I always sat at the front during a lecture because when I'm forced to do good, I enjoy doing good. But when I have the free will to decide if I'm going to do good, I don't always make that right decision. So I took notes, you know, I learned about our brains and how they work, you know, and I had always known that I was a grandchild of a severe alcoholic. And I just, you know, thought his alcoholism was because of PTSD from the Vietnam War. And that just wasn't the case. You know, we have a gene. And so once I learned that it was a disease, then I realized that there could be a solution. You know, there's a cure for diseases. And my cure is that I go to meetings and I tell people how I feel, and I tell on myself, because I still will try to trick myself. I'm really good. Yeah, I'm really good. I've gotten good at it over time. And, you know, I got out and I came to Asheville because I knew that home was not the place for me. Small towns can be kind of unforgiving sometimes. And I didn't want to go there and try to reinvent myself. You know, I was like, fuck it, I'm not even going to take the chance. And so I contacted the sober living house here in Asheville, and this is where I came. And I did 90 and 90. I made a lot of coffee. I said hi to a lot of people that I never may say hi to again. And I said hi to some people that started some friendships that are irreplaceable to me, because I decided to take chances. You know, I think that also while I was at Pavillon, I did extended care too. I begged again, kicked in that door, wrote a paper and said, this is why I think I need EC. And they said, you're a perfect candidate. And I said, okay, I'll pack up and go up there. They said, just wait another week. And so I said, okay. So, you know, I get to EC, and then the real, I want to say deeper, I'm not going to say real because all of it's real, but some deeper stuff started happening, you know, in those group sessions with those other ladies who also were just trying to get out from under the bottom. My brother had committed suicide in 2013. No, 2011. I get him and my grandfather mixed up. I'm sorry, guys. And so the day before he decided to take his life, I sold him a bottle of Xanaxes and wouldn't let him come to where I was hanging out, because I thought he would want to do the drugs that I was trying to get for free. And I didn't want him to try to get the same drugs because I needed them all. And that next day he took his life. And that was his pain. That was his choice. I have no feelings about what he decided to do for himself in this world. But I needed to heal about what I had done to possibly contribute to that. I can only chalk it up to the same as I wasn't trying to hurt my son, is that I was just fucked up trying to help another fucked up person in this world, because there was a lot of pain in both of our lives. You know, I think that there was a lot of pain and hurt. And I just wanted him to not feel his pain and hurt. At the same time, I didn't want to feel my pain and hurt. And he decided to really not feel it. As his sister, that I wasn't there. That wasn't me. He knows that, where, you know, in this universe, he knows that, and I know that. And so when I got to Asheville, I continued working on those things, because those are the kind of things that if you don't continue to clean that closet, those cobwebs will be there. Those are the kind of things that creep back in, where you got to tell on yourself, like, man, I was thinking today, you know, that I'm guilty, or I'm to blame, or, you know, I shoulda. And I'm not going to should myself to death, because those shoulds will get me fucked up. I'm sitting in my apartment right now, my new apartment. My husband asked me for a separation after Christmas, and I had no other choice but to go back to school, get a job, and get an apartment. It's funny because at my job, I tell them that, you guys, the only thing I know how to do is smoke dope and be married to the dope man. And like, that's it. I don't know anything. You guys tell me about life. And so, you know, today I contribute to a 401k. I mean, and I have to ask my dad, like, things like, should I do this? What is this? Like, are these the right decisions? And my boss, I've not been late. I've never been late. I've never called in. She calls me to come in, I go in, because that's what we do. That's who I am today. Now, 15 years ago, was that me? No. I've done lines of cocaine on my desk in the insurance office that I was the secretary for. And I don't do that today. And I'm sorry if the direct words are triggering anybody. It's just where I'm led to tell it from today. I don't always do that. But anyway, the cocaine evolved to some crystal meth. And I did that every day for 9 years, unless I was sleeping. I remember towards the end, there was one night I was begging just for that one more, then I'll go to sleep. You know, I've probably been up for about 13 days. And my husband, who was the dope man and also the father of my children, at the time started crying. Now, this is a grown man he's real country, you know, real big, real muscular. And that wasn't his thing. And he sat down beside me on the floor. I was on the couch and he said, Brandi, you are the sickest I've ever seen you. And we're not making nothing in this dynamic is making things better for either of us. And I just kept crying and begging and said, if you'll just put one right beside me, right here on the floor by the couch, for when I wake up, I can roll over and pick it up. And he did that. And I needed that at that time. That's what I needed, because otherwise I was going to go berserko on somebody, him, me, the house, the car, something. It was going to go down somehow, some way. And so, you know, fast forward some more. I know I'm kind of back in the past, back in, you know, this present day, but, you know, a couple of years ago, my ex-husband, the dope man, Dennis, he died in a car accident at night, had been up too long on drugs, and hit a transfer truck head on in Georgia. And I had to tell my children that. I had to identify his body by phone, by tattoos on his body. And my children were heartbroken, because one thing I'll tell you that my mom never did was badmouth me or him. And I appreciate that. I can appreciate that from my mom. I appreciate her doing that for me, because I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't doing those things that my son might think something of me. Now they do. Now I give them reasons to think something of me, but I couldn't like send love psychically like I was trying to do while I was on drugs. Like, oh, they know I love them and I love them and I hope they know I love them. Well, today I get to show them that I love them. You know, my son's coming up here for 10 days because my parents are going to Sturgis on motorcycles, and I'm so stoked. He's going to turn 16 with me, my middle son. And I'm going to take him to Carowinds. And it's funny because he called me and he said, Mom, do you know who Little Baby is? And I said, or the baby? And I said, yes, and the rapper, he's on my playlist. And he said, okay, well, him and Chris Brown are going to be in Charlotte. Will you take me? And I said, I'd love to. And so if I can make that happen, I'm going to make that happen for my kid. And like those things are like why I do this, you know, and I don't know if I'm rambling or not, but when I wake up in the morning, I'm not angry that I woke up. I'm not dealing with any wreckage from last night. You know, I didn't hit anyone. I didn't, you know, speak out of line to anybody. And a lot of times I would like to say that I did something good for somebody, at least was polite or nice throughout my day. And that's the opposite of who I naturally feel like being. Like on the way home, I was trying to get home from work. I worked today so fast. And I swear I was behind a van and I was like, I'm going to pass this van. And then I looked and it was a moped in front of the van. And I was like, I'm stuck. I just wanted to beat my horn. And, you know, but I was like, you know what? I can't honestly say that I took a deep breath in that moment because I was stressing on being here, but that we should take deep breaths, you know, and because it's okay. Like it just is what it is at the end of the day. But, you know, like I said, I started making some amends when I got to Asheville, and they were some scary amends because I don't know about anybody else, but being up really long can make you do and say some stupid shit. And I had to apologize for some sometimes dumb things, but super sad things because they reflected on my mental capacity at the time. You know, I feel like that at the end, it wasn't about, you know, it wasn't about like being skinny. I never cared about being skinny. I never cared that I had bumps on my face because I was a picker, because I hated me more than you hated me. And so I would spend hours in the bathroom taking that hate out on me. And so in the end, though, I think what got me was that when I started to, for real, question reality and what was going on around me and with people around me, I was scared. I do not, and I did not ever sign up to lose touch with reality and the world that I'm living in today. I didn't sign up for that. I can't say what I signed up for. Like I said earlier, I don't know why I started doing those things, you know, but it took a long time for me to heal through that. And, you know, today I get to be a good friend to people. I actually went to Machine Gun Kelly last week in Charlotte, and I went with a sober friend. I thought was a sober friend. And this friend at the Cheesecake Factory was like, well, I think I'll have a martini. And I was like, I don't think that's a good idea. But first of all, I wasn't in a place to argue with this woman at the time. And I wasn't in a place to give all my opinions. And so that happened. And so we get to the concert, and that continued to happen. As I was alone at Machine Gun Kelly's, basically this girl was all in the face. You know how we do when we're drunk. She was all in the guy's face next to her. And then though she started preaching AA. And when we left that concert, I said, do not ever do that again with me, because you are not the hand of AA tonight. I'm not saying what you will be or won't be tomorrow or next week or 5 years from now, but that young man does not have the correct idea of what Alcoholics Anonymous is. And I have never felt convicted like that, but this program saved my life. And it was people who walked this walk who taught me how to do that. People who live this life, who have been there, been where I've been, who can tell me how to get out of where I was. And that's what they did. And I listened. I took suggestions that I didn't want to take. I didn't want to go to 90 meetings in 90 days, but you know what happened? I went to fucking every day of the year I was at a meeting. And I think it was October 8th of 16 through the end of 17. And that's because I started working at the halfway house. And I was kidding. I had walked downstairs, and I knew that my house needed a driver for the girls and just like a supervisor in the house. And I'm kind of cocky by nature. And so I went downstairs and I said, hey, Stevie, you know, the only thing you're missing is me. And she said, you're right. I'll hire you in a month. If you stay here another month, you've got the job. And I started driving a Suburban around Asheville, North Carolina. I'm telling you, straight out of the gutter. I mean, straight from the gutter. Those last years, I was sleeping in bushes. I was living in barns. I had my shit in trash cans that I stole from somebody's house and rinsed out to keep my clothes somewhat clean. I would break into barns just to sleep. It wasn't to steal, it was to sleep. I just wanted a safe place to sleep out of the elements. Life is rough. Life can be rough, but you know, today I don't want to make it rougher than it already is. I definitely don't want to do that. And long story short too, about that concert the other night, I realized I shortchanged myself when I was young and fun and cute. Like, dang, I mean, I was lucky. I think I passed a little bit on getting dressed up to go out. But if I was doing that in my 20s, man, I missed a lot of stuff. I missed a whole lot of stuff. And now, so lately, the past 3 or 4 days, I've been Googling like concert venues and sending it like to all my people that might join me, you know, to go to a concert or a comedy show because I missed that. You know, I missed that. But I get to do it today. And maybe it's because I appreciate it more. You know, maybe I'm more mindful and more present today. You know, I'm not really sure, but it was awesome. You know, that's why we do this. You know, that's why we do this. And I go to a meeting regularly on Mondays and Fridays when I get off work. It's one of my favorite meetings anyway, but lo and behold, I work 2 blocks from there. And so I get off work at either 6:30 or 7, and I'm either there in 10 minutes or I'm 10 minutes late sometimes, and they don't mind. You know, it's where I go. It's my home. You know, I can tell them how I'm feeling. I can tell them what I'm going through, you know, and I mentioned that my husband asked me for a separation. I met him here in Asheville. Actually, the first time I laid eyes on him was in Pavillon. He did a Sunday night speaker meeting, and I thought, damn, I'm going to know him. I know him one day. I don't know how or why, but I will know him. And I thought that was just the crazy in me, because I can be a little crazy. And so come to find out, he was from Asheville. That's where I was headed anyway. I had already made some of the plans, and it only took about 6 months before he was in my inbox. And that I don't know how that happened, honestly. I'd made some friends at a meeting called Cocaine Anonymous in Asheville, and they happened to be in a halfway house that he owned. And so I guess my name was kind of dropped around there sometimes, and our paths crossed. And we're friends. You know, I'm not mad at him. You know, if this isn't the life that if I'm not the life he wanted, then that's okay today. Like, the old me would have been feeling like, and I'm not saying I haven't experienced this, but I would have wallowed in the, am I worth it? What didn't I do? What can I do to make you want me now? I would have compromised any morals. I would have compromised any boundaries. I would have done anything. And on the sheer principle of, you don't get to tell me you don't want me. But today I'm like, you know what, Derek, if that, oh, sorry. Anyway, you know what, if that's how it is, then that's how it is. But let's be friends. You know, I'm not mad, you know, and I hope that you're not. And so we're friends today. You know, I consult him for a lot of decisions that I make in my life. And he's good. He's good for that, you know, and I just try to keep one foot in front of the other. You know, I pretty much had a nervous breakdown in April. I had turned 40 in March. I started a second job. I had a 2,500 word term paper due in English. Now, I've not even been to school since I was in, I think 2000, maybe. I might have done a couple semesters, or maybe 2001. And writing a paper ain't the same. It wasn't pen and paper and books. It was different. And I was stressed to the max, but you know what? I got it done. I passed the class. You know, I have a 3.7 GPA, and that's who I lost when I was 14 years old, because I didn't care. I got by in high school. Don't get me wrong. I made good grades, but I could have done more. And so today I make sure that I do that more. It is what it is. You know, I have it to do, and I take pride in the things that I do. I'm not just gonna, you know, take the shortcut. I'm gonna try to do it the right way, no matter what it is, because those shortcuts will creep in on me too. Like, oh, I took that shortcut, I can do this shortcut. And then the next thing you know, they've become a habit. And I don't want those habits today. I know where they can lead. You know, I try to be honest with myself. It was hard when I'm going to go back to when I first got here, though. I put affirmations on my mirror on Post-it notes, because I had, in that moment of hope at Pavillon, when those girls were telling their stories, I thought to myself, well, you know, I'm worth it. You know, I deserve it. I'm happy. You know, I want the smile. And so it's easy for me with the disease of addiction that I lose that. Like, I thought it, and then maybe the next day I'd forget that I had felt that way the day before. And so I wanted to write those things down so I could see them every day. I didn't want to be able to deceive myself. You know, I didn't want to look in the mirror and think of the hard times and the bad times and the stealing and the manipulating. That's not what I wanted to think of. And I can't always, it took a while for me to undo that kind of thinking, is all I'm trying to say. It took some tools, like putting the affirmations on my mirror, you know, or then I also had a God box for step 3, because I don't know how to give things over and not take them back. And so my sponsor had me to decorate a box, and it was my God box. And so the prayers or the wishes or the things that I wanted from this life and from this universe, I would write them down and put them in my box. And then if I thought of them, I would remember they were in my box and they weren't mine to take. Like, they weren't mine. They weren't mine to make come to fruition. Like, it was, I don't know. It was for the universe to do, not for me. I was just going to do the work. I was just going to do the work and hope it all worked out. Like I mentioned, I have been to prison twice. I thought, okay, if I had ever thought I was going to be in prison, I thought it was going to be really different than what it turned out to be. I thought, you know, I'm going to find the worst people there and I'm going to get in with them. And, you know, I'm going to bully other people and I'm going to do drugs and I'm going to smoke cigarettes, you know, and I'm going to do all these sneaky things. And when I got there, I'll tell you, I followed every damn rule. I didn't do nothing wrong because I didn't want to be there forever. And I realized that put some things in perspective for me too. Looking at that fence, I was like, man, how did I get on the inside of this? Like, I really had to like, understand that I really was locked away. And you know what I mean? Like, I could not get out of there. And that was hard because I'd never had anything I couldn't get out of. I could get out of anything, you know, and that was really, humbling, really. It was humbling. like I said, I followed the rules because then I realized that there are real people in this world who do commit real crimes. And I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to be with them. And it's not, I'm not judging them, but what I'm saying is I did feel some fear towards some of those crimes. And there were things, I don't know. I decided that, and me and God decided that it was time to keep my nose down and do what I needed to do and go back home. And that's what I did. I didn't quite learn the lesson the first time. I absconded. And that next time I went back, I haven't used since. I was, that day was January 20th, 2016. And I have not done a mood or mind altering substance since then. I did not go to meetings while I was locked up, but as soon as I got out, my dad made sure that I was involved in IOP until I could get into a treatment center. And the funny thing about that is that I tried to get by. My dad's an airline pilot, and so he's gone a lot. And so I thought, he's gone. I just go to IOP. I'm not even going to look for a treatment center. And when he came in the house and he said, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Nothing. I'm fixing to go to IOP." And he's like, "No, well, I mean, what are you doing here?" And I was like, "I'm going." I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "I told you to go to treatment." And I was like, "I am. I'm going to IOP." And he said, "No, I mean with a fucking suitcase." And I said, "Okay, I get it." And so I did. I had to go to treatment with a suitcase. But you know what? It's the best thing I ever did. It's the best thing I ever did. I got there. I got honest with myself. I got honest with the things I was ashamed about. I got honest about the things that hurt me. I got honest about, the things that make me happy, that make me glad. And I let go of those fears of being vulnerable. I just had to learn because like I said, I hung around people who were dangerous. And with those people, there's just a mask. There's mask and there's walls. And I just wanted to let those down. It had been too long. And I was just ready, to come home to who I am. I wanted to be able to show my heart. I've always had a good heart, but I am not the best at showing it. And so today I work on that like a lot every day. I know I babbled. I'm so sorry. I think I got a little nervous when that thing popped up. It said, "You're being recorded." And so that definitely changed my tone a little bit. I was like, "Oh my goodness, I hope I do this okay." But it doesn't even matter. Maybe I said something that stood out. Maybe I said something that you don't want to experience. Either way, I hope that it does some good for someone. And, it's just a day at a time. I have a man at a meeting that says, we're not bad people trying to get good. We're just sick people trying to get well. And when I look at it from that philosophy, that I can do this, but that bad, good shit, that'll keep you out there. That'll keep me out there. I can't speak for everyone, but that's what kept me out there. I'm bad, I'm this, I'm that, I'm not this, I am, just all these things. And, at the end of the day, I was just sick. And I just needed some grace extended to me from the world. And I can honestly say that I've gotten that and more. I only pictured myself on a paddleboard or in the woods looking for a waterfall. And here I am working full time at a job I love with friends and people that care about me. Like I'm going to drive to my hometown Tuesday night and spend the day with my kids. It's a 4.5 hour drive. I'm going to drive when I get off work, spend the day with them and drive back that night because that's what I want to do. Those are the people that I want to be with. And there was a time in my life where I spent all my time with everybody but them. Everybody but them. And none of those people give two fucks what I'm doing right now. But my kids do, and my family does, and my friends do, and they care about spending quality time with me. And they care, if I don't message them for a few days, they're going to say, "Hey, what happened to you? What's going on? Are you good? Have you been working?" Those other friends that I used to call friends, they ain't going to see me again until I show up again. And I don't want to just show up. I want people to say, "Hey, come over." I want people to say, come on, you're welcome. And I didn't always have that. I chose terrible friends. And acquaintances. And so I think with that, I'm just going to end and say, that I don't know, what kind of experiences the people that are in EC or in primary right now have been through. I don't even know what kind of crowd I'm talking to. But at the end of the day, we are all the same. We know pain. We know suffering. I have a God-sized hole that only God can fill. If you have a hole like I have a hole, find something to fill it. That ain't dope. That ain't alcohol. That ain't not the things that mess your life up even worse. I fill mine up with God, like I said, and I pray a lot. I don't go to church, but I feel like that I can pray to God, and then I can meditate, and I can get some guidance on some. I always say pray to, listen for. That's about prayer and meditation. Step 11. And I don't always know I can't quote the book to you, but I can tell you those steps work because I'm sitting right here and I ain't done no drugs today. And so that's really all I got. Thank you. Thank you.